Hey guys, welcome back to NLWI tutorials. I made a couple already for you guys. Again, we're just doing this to help some of the new members out. They're a little bit confused on how to play. Some people want to play and they just don't know how to play, so we're going to help them out a little bit, and hopefully we can get you in the poker room and get playing right away. This tutorial is going to be a little bit on how betting works. The last two we talked about poker hands, and we talked about how Texas Hold'em works with the flop, turn, and river. Now I'm actually going to talk about how the betting works. So how do we make the money? How do we get the chips? How do we, you know, as far as the game goes, how do we win the tournament? This is going to be a little bit just information for you. Just maybe you want to take some notes or something like that, or we'll keep watching the video, whatever you got to do. First thing I want to talk about is you're going to hear blinds and antes, okay? So in the game, you're going to have blinds and antes. So when you're betting, first of all, the blinds will be a small blind and a big blind. And the way that works is wherever your dealer is sitting, right to the left of him is going to be the small blind, and right to the left of the small blind is going to be the big blind. So before the hand starts, the small blind and big blind must be played, okay? So let's say, for example, we get into a tournament and it's a 10-20 blind game, okay? So what that means is that the small blind is going to be 10 for the bet to play the hands to get your cards, and the 20 is going to be the big blind, okay? So what's going to happen is, let's say we have 5 people at the table. We're going to have the person to the left, we're going to have them play the small blind, we're going to have the person to their left play the big blind, okay? So they're automatically having to play. The next person, the next 3 people, I'm sorry, will actually have a choice whether or not to play. So this is where our call, fold, and raise comes in, alright? So those are some more terms. Calls just mean that you want to call whatever the previous bet was, and that means that you can go ahead and play. Fold would be to actually give the 2 cards, your 2 in the hole cards, back to the dealer, and you're out of that hand. So folding means you're done with that hand. And then a raise would obviously be where you put more money in for the other people to play. So the other opponents to play with you, okay? So if you got good pocket cards or good in the hole cards, you know, maybe you got a pair, let's say 2 5s or something like that, and you want to raise a little bit to see what everybody else has, you can feel free to do that. All right. So how that's going to work is, let's say the person right next, so we got our small blind, we got our big blind, and then the following person gets to decide. So let's say they just want to call. So you have to call the 20, which is the big blind, to go ahead and give it to the next person, okay? So let's say that third person calls, the fourth person folds, so that means the fourth person is out of that hand, and then the fifth person just calls so that you guys can see the flop, okay? So now all the money, so you're going to have the 20 from the big blind, you're going to have 20 from the other person, that's going to go in. Now it's the small blind's turn again, because they only put 10 in. So now they can decide whether or not they want to put another 10 in to actually go ahead and watch the flop. Okay, so at this point, the small blind can actually go ahead and raise, fold, or call. So in order for them to call, they just put another 10 chips in, and then they're in the game. Alright? So, with that being said, once that's taken care of, once the bets are in, then the dealer will go ahead and deal out the cards, or the first 3 cards. So what again are the first 3 cards? It's going to be the flop. The first 3 community cards that are on the table is going to be the flop, okay? And then we went ahead and tell you how the flop, turn, and river work in the previous video. Alright, so now they have the flop out. Just for example, it's going to go to the person right next to the left of the dealer, and then it begins all over again. Alright, so the least bet would be 20 because of the way the blinds are set up. So again, 10, 20. 20 is the big blind. That's the minimum bet that you can bet to stay in the game. Alright, so let's say, for example, you got your flop out there. And now it's the next person to the left of the dealer, it's their turn, so they can check, fold, or raise. Now, check is actually a free way to push it off to the next person as far as having it their turn, okay? So if they check, then it's automatically the next person's turn. If they check, it's automatically the next person's turn. And it could go all the way back to the dealer. If everybody checks, then they actually throw out the turn card. Let's say, for example, we didn't want to check. We actually think we had a pretty good hand, and we wanted to bet. We have to bet at least 20, okay, because that's the big blind. So we have to bet at least the big blind. So let's say the person right next to the dealer goes ahead and bets 20. Now, in order for the following players to play, they have to either call that, so they have to put 20 in, they have to fold and to get out of that hand, or they can raise. So they can raise 20, they can raise 40, 60, 80, they could go all in. All in is actually all the chips that you have, and in order for the other players to play, they actually have to meet what you bet, okay? I know this is kind of quick. Again, just get into the poker room, observe some tables, and all this stuff will start making sense to you, alright? Now, the way that you actually win a hand is when everybody folds and you're still in the hand, then you would take all those chips. Or, if you, let's say you're against one or two people, once the last card or the river card comes, then you would actually look at your 5-card hands. So you look at all your community cards, all the 2 cards that you have in your pocket hand or in the whole hand, and then you would compare and see whoever has the highest hand. Whoever has the highest hand wins that pot. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. We'll get going for now, and feel free to ask more questions, give us some feedback, get a hold of me at NLWI@gmail.com, okay? Have a good night, guys, and we'll see you in the poker room.